Hey everybody, welcome on in to another edition of Front Porch Politics. I'm Tim Boyum. This month we're talking about what is likely the most important issue facing North Carolina over the next couple decades, but an issue very few people even know about. How do we provide enough power for the growth in North Carolina, but also the growth of AI and data centers? It's an issue playing out in communities all across the state. It's 5:30 on a cool February night in Canton.
I want to create a baseline of truth, what brings us here today.
A line already snakes around the temporary town hall, anxious homeowners waiting for their moment at the mic.
This isn't right.
In a word, people are worried.
Everything that Canton has built within the last couple of years after all of the hurricanes and the fighting and the mill being gone, it's all going to be destroyed.
They are worried about water.
So if this breaks down, it is going to pollute our water, and we do have cattle that drink from the Pigeon River.
They are worried about sound.
Round-the-clock noise.
They are worried about something that might not even come. But just the idea of it has made Town Hall as popular as the high school football field on a Friday night.
The data center coming in really is a scary thought for me.
The amount of jobs that it will produce, I don't think it is worth it to put it there to jeopardize the integrity of the town.
On the agenda, a moratorium on data centers.
For some communities, it works, and those communities, embrace it. But again, you and I've talked several times before, North Carolina is a collection of these small towns. And what works in one doesn't mean it's going to work in the other.
A town nearly destroyed by floods in 2021. A town still reeling from a mill closure and 1,000 jobs lost in 2023. And a town yet again recovering from devastating flooding in 2024 from Hurricane Helene.
Yes, it creates revenue for your town, which is wonderful. I would love nothing more from going into a very unstable economic situation because of the mill closure and the floods to having plenty of money in my general fund. But again, we cannot sacrifice the gifts of the Almighty for the almighty dollar.
But there's another side to this electric debate, the side you have not heard much from until now.
I think over the next year, AI companies will spend over $600 billion on AI. And it's just getting started.
Drew Nations is a North Carolina native and data center developer. We should say right off the bat, he does not represent all data centers nor AI companies, nor does he have anything to do with the situation in Canton.
This is a site we recently rezoned to be a data center campus, and that's really what our company does.
Entertain a motion. You have a second?
Entertain a motion, I second.
In January, he gained approval from Stokes County Commissioners to turn this 1,850 acres of former farmland into a massive data center project.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Data centers really are the physical infrastructure of our digital world. So when you go to send a text message, when you go to pull photos from, back in your iPhone from the cloud, you're pulling it from a data center. When you watch a podcast online, maybe on YouTube or something, the viewers here, they're watching it through a data center.
Roughly 100 data centers already exist in North Carolina, but most of those help with common modern internet needs. New data centers in the pipeline will power AI, which requires significant more computing and power. The U.S. Department of Energy reports it uses 10 to 50 times the amount of energy compared to an average office building. Nations is going to help sort through, from his perspective, some of the common concerns and sometimes misinformation we hear about data centers. For a moment, let's go back to that Canton Town Hall meeting.
There's a data center that just got built in Texas, $2.1 billion facility, and it only employs 38 people once the construction's done. So those aren't real jobs.
Many of these centers will not fill as many jobs as textile mills did in the past. However, in Stokes County, it could create up to 500 jobs in a county 45,000 people call home. Nation says the biggest boost is tax revenue. This one spot adding potentially $40 million a year in Stokes County.
It's not just 1 or 2% of their annual budget. Sometimes it's over 50% of their annual budget to a county you could add another 50% from just one of these projects. So when you're talking about, money that could be in the hundreds of millions of dollars over a 5 or 10 year period, or even in the billions, that's a great opportunity.
Another concern that buzzes around, the sound from data centers. Again, that came up in Canton.
But it will create constant noise and it will be audible from our porches and inside our homes, even if you're close enough like me.
Our commitment is whether it's through acoustical dampening and silencers and other sort of sound mitigation, we will have to solve that problem to make sure that our site is no louder at the edges than it is today.
The amount of power to juice these data centers creates a lot of heat, and water is used to cool it. Depending on size, these centers can use 300,000 to 5 million gallons a day, similar to an entire small town. In Canton, they worried about the release of that water into the Pigeon River, still recovering from the old days of the mill.
No one's going to want to eat food that is grown with the water from a data center.
There's two types of cooling. There's evaporative cooling, that's an open loop system, and then there's air cooling, which is a closed loop system. Evaporative cooling usually uses millions of gallons of water a day, and in the drought scenario, that's a little concerning. We make a commitment on all of our projects to use air-cooled and to do closed-loop systems.
But that does not mean all developers will follow suit. Now to the really big challenge, electricity and who pays how much. These data centers require a lot of juice. I'll be honest, it's a complicated topic, and the numbers, percentages, and terms, it can overwhelm you quickly. But here's the bottom line. Nationwide, the International Energy Agency estimates AI and data centers could account for 50% of increased electricity need by 2030 alone. In North Carolina, demand grew 7% from 2005 to 2025. By 2040, Duke expects demand to grow 16 to 60%. Some of these data centers need as much power as a small city or more.
Some power's generated maybe right next door that you can see. Some might be generated down the street. There's all these different places that all come together. There's redundancy in our grid too. It's not one single generation source. But generally, where there's power plants, there's also going to be robust transmission infrastructure. That's really what you need.
Regardless, we need a lot more power and fast.
In North Carolina, probably 3 years ago, we were seeing very modest growth in energy use. It was down to like 0.5%. But today, we're looking at 5% growth over the next decade.
Yes, population growth has played a role, but the boom of AI and what it requires is ultimately fueling the growth.
We're going to need all of those generating resources that are economically viable. We want to be able to maintain reliability, but we also want to be able to assure that our customers have low costs.
Kendall Bowman is president of Duke Energy North Carolina.
You're going to need more gas plants. We're going to need more renewables, solar, battery storage. We're looking at building new nuclear. We're also seeking second licenses for all of our existing nuclear fleet. These are assets that are going to run 80 years.
In the simplest of terms, Duke Energy says it needs more of everything.
We're going to run some of those coal units longer than we had originally anticipated. And part of that is because of all of this growth that we're seeing. It's also economically viable to run them a little longer than we planned. I think ultimately they're going to come to the end of their useful life, but we're also monitoring what I'm going to call advanced nuclear technologies.
But worries remain among some industry watchdogs.
Duke's latest plan is, largely based on the promise that small modular nuclear reactors will be available from a commercial standpoint and from a permitting standpoint, in the mid to late 2030s. And that's a big bet, a big gamble to be taking right now.
How confident are you that these are going to work out and deliver what's needed for the state?
So that's the great thing about the way we do our resource plans, is we file it every 2 years, so we have the ability to check and update as we gain more information, newer information.
Time for a quick break. When we come back, will data centers cause blackouts? And much more. Welcome back to Front Porch Politics. I'm Tim Boyum. This month we're tackling the idea of how we're going to provide enough energy for North Carolina with growth population, but also the growth of AI and data centers. And there's a big question of who's going to pay for that growth and what happens if there's a shortage of power. Our story continues. Now, it's likely many of you never heard of the Utilities Commission, but they are powerful and play a key role in this.
So we look at what their rate structure will be for all the categories of users. When it comes to electricity for Duke, we're looking at how that power is generated. Whether it's generated by solar, or by nuclear, whether it's natural gas, whether it's coal.
Which brings us to the next big question. Who will pay for all this new generation? What does it mean for rates? Rates have already risen 22% since 2020, and Duke has asked for 15% more on average over the next 2 years. Some worry it's just the tip of the iceberg. This as the company announced nearly $5 billion in income last year.
Does the Utilities Commission have any power, I guess,
Yes.
to ensure that data centers are paying their fair share, whatever that means?
Yes, I think we absolutely do, and I think we will play a meaningful and significant role in doing so. We've explored in the past and in evaluating the potential for a large low-growth tariff that would impact data center and other large low-growth users.
Last year, a new law allowed Duke to charge customers in advance to build new plants, elevating the fear residential customers will help foot the bill for data centers, even if they don't fulfill promises.
We've started to put in place new contract provisions for any customer that's 100 megawatts or greater. They have to have termination penalties in place. For example, if they sign up and then they don't come. They also have to pay a minimum contract demand charge. So if they say they're going to come and they're going to give 500 megawatts and they only show up for 275, they're going to have to pay a share of that because we've built the infrastructure to serve it.
I think data centers are probably the best customer you can have to support large load growth because they can pay for 100% of their transmission cost. For all of our projects, we pay for 100% of our transmission cost improvements.
In 2024, Duke Energy signed a memorandum of understanding with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Nucor to explore new rate structures to help offset the intense and expensive need for significantly more generation.
We haven't seen that MOU come to fruition with any filing at the Utilities Commission. So right now, if a large customer does want to procure and develop on site, they don't have any mechanism to do so.
What is the interest in generation on site? Things like solar and whatnot to offset the needs of the grid.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of solar on site. It's pretty inefficient from a per acre perspective. So just the megawatts per acre is not that efficient. I think ultimately generation on site lets Duke Energy play catch up while these data centers and the demand today can be satiated and built. And so what like generation on site does is allow natural gas or other energy type uses to come on site and basically get out in front of what Duke Energy is going to do and allow on site these data centers to power themselves. And they eventually either hand off those generation assets to Duke Energy or they shut them down and then build more on top of them.
And what about the potential for blackouts, especially during high peak times? Think the hottest of summer days or the coldest of winter days?
And this is a question I get a lot, is will my power go out? And the answer is no, the data centers get shut off first.
We're already including it now in these large load agreements that we have with big customers, 100 megawatts or greater. We're including a provision where there's some kind of mandated number of hours where we can curtail them from a reliability perspective for our customers.
The debate has just begun whether the state should mandate it. At the end of the day, Nations believes it's about working together and not becoming a community boogeyman.
We are in early innings. This is a structural shift in our economy and our way of life. So this is going to be happening for the next decade. Can we do this the right way? And what I hope we can do is make North Carolina the place where data centers are done right.
Time for one last break. When we return, we head to Canton for the moratorium vote and a look at the future. Welcome back to Front Porch Politics. I'm Tim Boyum. This month we're tackling the idea of how much power we're going to need in North Carolina with the growth of population, but also AI and data centers in the next decade or two. There's also an environmental side of this. The state is supposed to be carbon neutral by 2050. But does all this growth mean that's even possible? Earlier I mentioned Duke Energy proposed more of everything when it comes to generating enough electricity. Technically, that's not true. Renewables remain a part of Duke's plan, but the most recent version removes plans for wind until at least 2040 and puts some shade on solar as well.
It's integrated into the design of the facility here.
Matt Abel's group, NC Sustainable Energy Association, advocates for renewables, We met him at a school using solar panels to offset its energy costs.
Our plea right in this moment is that we're doing everything that we can be to enabling all of the generation technologies at our disposal. Solar and battery storage are typically the quickest and fastest and cheapest generation technologies out there, and that's what large customers are asking for right now.
2021 law requires the state to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, but already last year lawmakers removed interim benchmarks.
We're still planning towards it. So if you look at the resource plan, the goal is to achieve net zero by 2050.
These changes make that more challenging, all these issues with the growth?
Look, if we can figure out nuclear somehow, I think that will help tremendously. But we're still focused on it.
For the latest iteration of the carbon plan, we actually saw some backtracking from where we were in the 2022 carbon plan, and in fact, we saw in Duke's latest proposal, they are proposing to delay some solar assets here in North Carolina and scale back some of what was originally authorized under the 2024 order. And in fact, sort of doubling down on some of the natural gas capacity within the fleet.
Attaining carbon neutrality by 2050 is indeed possible. Are there challenges of doing so? Absolutely. Can we work toward that goal? Is it attainable? I think it is attainable. But we have to look at renewables very seriously. We have to look at solar. We have to look at nuclear. Nuclear is the major source of electricity in North Carolina today. And what we do in terms of nuclear will be of critical importance in providing clean energy that's carbon-free.
It would also give the town time to amend its local ordinances.
Back in Canton, night has fallen, and an overflow crowd remains outside Town Hall listening intently to an ongoing public hearing about a moratorium on data centers.
We need to ensure that whatever replaces the mill improves our quality of life and protects our property values rather than subjecting us to the 24/7 industrial hum of a data center.
Nearly 50 people in this small town arguing one after another in favor with the council.
We've been through enough.
These debates are playing out in communities across the state with mixed results. One might call it a political hot potato, but Utilities Commissioner Floyd McKissick doesn't think it has to be that way.
It's not either or. We can have both. Our communities can benefit from data centers. They can be good neighbors. They can be located in areas where right now there's not a lot of other activities going on, and that's the type of locations where they tend to locate, where there's rural land or land in areas that are not particularly developed today.
As the public hearing ended after nearly 3 hours, emotions bubbled to the surface in Canton as town leaders considered a vote.
I have the answer to a 6-year-old who also goes to their school.
And minutes later,
is there a motion for to place a moratorium ordinance on the regulation of data centers, cryptocurrency mining facilities, and server farms?
I make that motion.
A 1-year moratorium was put in place.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Moratorium passes.
A growing state with growing needs, but that growth comes with a cost.
I'm completely confident that we can meet the needs and demands of the future.
How confident are you that the state can keep up with this demand in the years and decades ahead? It's a big question. It's just a matter of enabling all generation resources that we have at our disposal and being able to deploy those as soon as possible so that North Carolina can continue to remain economically competitive and make sure that we're keeping rates low for customers.
Despite what feels like an urgent need, this empty field is perhaps a visual sign it can be done.
It takes time to build those data centers as well. So I think that's going to give the utilities the ability to take the time that we need to build the resources to meet that need.
The challenge is, in some ways, learning to fly a plane while flying it, making sure to get it right for everyone.
There are a lot of myths that people are pushing, and so I think this stuff's gonna keep happening, and it's better if we get educated now on what this is and what this is not.
Advocates also warn if it's not in our backyard, it could be in China. And if China controls the world's AI, it could spell big trouble for the rest of the world. All right, that's all the time that we have for this month. As we always say, it's time to hit the road to find more incredible stories about incredible people here in the great state of North Carolina. We'll see you next month.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage. And click the subscribe button here. You can also download our app and watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.